We'll start from here. And welcome back again to VMworld Live. I'm John Troyer. Pleased to have with me here now Chris Gebhardt from NetApp. Chris,
thank you, John. Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
So, Chris, you are a lead VDI architect at NetApp.
Correct.
And one of the things you've been working on lately is this 50,000 seat VDI environment reference architecture.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that. Why you got what were the goals there in building it, and tell us a little bit about the reference architecture.
Sure, absolutely. So, first let's start out with the partners involved. We brought VMware, Cisco, Wise, and Fujitsu into RTP and to design and architect a pod-based VDI architecture.
Pod-based meaning it's components that are scalable.
Absolutely. So that provides us a horizontal scalability, and we had the opportunity to deploy this in our next generation global dynamic data center. And what this was we were able to use the resources from a refresh of all of our lab gear that was going to be used by the development organization, the NetApp development organization. We got to use that before that was turned over to them. So it gave us the opportunity to start with a greenfield environment, and we were able to deploy I think it was around 900 UCS and Fujitsu servers with vSphere 4.1, and we did it in such a manner that there was 60 servers within an ESX, basically within this pod, right? 30 per vCenter server. And we had a FAS 3170 storage controller as the storage for that particular pod. So what this allowed us to do was deploy groups of 5,000 pods we simulated a geographically dispersed environment. So we had different Active Directory domains that replicated a worldwide financial institution, and one was based 20,000 seat pods out in New York, as similar, for their worldwide headquarters, and basically used all the tools within our tool bag to create a really scalable, high-performing desktop environment. Really, the goals of this architecture were to create a blueprint for customers and a roadmap that they can use, so that when they deploy their architectures, we can. It's a proven architecture, right? It's we test it.
But
we
the whole
drink
idea
our
of a
own
reference
Kool-Aid.
architecture.
Absolutely.
It's hopefully not on paper, so it's
not a paper exercise. We did the lab work.
And it's a model. It's a reference architecture.
Absolutely.
You can take it as a whole. You can take pieces of it. I mean, since this is a pod based, it sounds like it's something that somebody could try out one pod and scale it up.
Absolutely. So we used a lot of the methodologies for deploying a successful VDI environment. So we did some assessments and analysis and tested, and as we got to the final pod size, we determined what the limits of that pod were, right? And then so that basically we did a lot of the work so customers don't have to do that, right?
So talk a little bit about the VMware components of that.
Sure.
So vSphere 4.5 and View as well. So
Yep.
talk a little bit about some of the features that you took advantage of in this
Sure,
VDI
absolutely.
reference architecture.
So from a vSphere perspective, one of the capabilities using distributed switches was traditionally we had been using in our Kilo Client Lab, which is the global dynamic data center, standard vSwitches. We started using distributed switches, and that allowed us to basically take 900 servers and very easily make changes to the networking infrastructure. So it was definitely a powerful feature that we were able to first take advantage with this architecture. With View 4.5, we're going to be doing, as this is a reference architecture, it's kind of a living type of thing. So we're going to be working on doing more performance-based testing around View 4.5 and the ability to use tiered storage, and apply that to a NetApp method of using it in a tierless fashion. So kind of confusing, but basically the ability to reduce the cost of a VDI solution is paramount in customers' minds, right? They want to be able to provide low cost per seat desktops and make sure that they're high performing. So what we're doing is we're taking the tiering model for Vue4.5 and creating that master data store where the templates will sit, right? The master VMs. We're, instead of putting that on a different tier of storage, we're using our flash cache module, which is a basically an SSD non-persistent read cache, and then pinning that data to that particular cache, so that what you end up getting is SSD performance at 15K RPM plus a small incremental cost of the flash cache module. So it's basically
so the tiering takes place within the NetApp storage component.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not done on a different tier of physical disk, of expensive physical disk, right? It's done within a module that acts as the same, but is smaller, is more efficient as the there's deduplication that's involved within the cache. So, NetApp has a very robust data deduplication strategy and product, and we apply that to cache as well. So not only is the data on disk deduplicated, but it's also deduplicated in cache. So we have a really good story when it comes to Vue4.5 and how customers can take advantage of Vue4.5's performance advantages and being able to provide link clone environments that are very high performing.
So you talked about the reference architecture being a living environment. Can you talk a little bit about how you took customer feedback and requirements in at the front end of this process?
Absolutely.
And then also some of the lessons learned after you built out the reference architecture.
Yeah, so we've spent quite a bit of time. I personally spend a lot of time in EBCs talking with customers about desktop environments, virtual desktop and VDI specifically, and it's kind of one of those things where I've been taking, and product management has been taking ideas from customers for years, and we've been talking to some of the large financial institutions about the issues that they're seeing when they're doing their POCs, and some of the issues that are when customers are trying to prove things out in our customer proof of concept labs, what things that they're having issues with. Boot storms, login storms, virus scan storms. And we wanted to make sure we created an architecture that was high performing and cost effective. And so
and what were some of the lessons learned then?
So the lessons learned were make sure that you're sizing both for capacity and performance for storage. Make sure you're, because there's a delicate balance between the cost of the solution and the performance of the solution. So if you could spend a lot of money and get really high performing storage, like SSD, or you can use a more intelligent approach to it and be able to reduce your storage cost while satisfying the end user experience, right, requirements. So finding that balance and sizing the environment appropriately was really one of the key things that was learned from the exercise.
What customer areas are you seeing, or what kinds of customers are you seeing that are deploying this kind of a scale, or going to deploy this kind of a scale?
Wow, so financials are by far, we see the financial industry deploying 50,000 seats or greater. We have customers that are asking for 100,000 seats and are right in the beginning of evaluating and doing the 5,000 seats with hopes to grow to 50,000 in the next year or two. So financials, healthcare is also a big one. So hospitals, doctors being able to move to a terminal and move their session as they're working throughout the day provides a lot of flexibility for them to do their job. Education is another vertical that we've had a lot of interest in, and that being able to provide a non-PC based architecture for their students in labs and stuff like that is very beneficial to
government
customers.
as well?
And government. And one interesting that we're trying to vet out is taking our secure multi-tenancy solution and apply it to potentially into a VDI environment. So you can have different tenants be securely separated within a virtual desktop environment as well. So yes, those are all, government is definitely very interested in reducing costs and having a more ubiquitous solution, so log in anywhere.
Cool. So if people want to learn more about this, they can pick it up off the NetApp site?
Absolutely. So you can go to www.netapp.com. We also have a high-level marketing video that is on YouTube that you can come and check out the different partners talk about the solution. We're going to be coming out with a paper in the next couple months that really details the performance characteristics of the workload and really goes into the meat of the exercise. So look forward to that in the next couple of months. And
great. Well, thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Russ.
Take care.